Welcome to Groundbreakers. My name is Eden Wall, and once again we are celebrating and showcasing the most intriguing and successful entrepreneurs in Canada. Today we have two very distinguished guests, and my first guest. Now this is a major coup because he never does interviews as himself. He never does. Today we have him as his. Have you done an interview as yourself?
On TV, I've done Entertainment Tonight a couple of months ago.
Entertainment Tonight is the only one.
That's pretty much it.
So we're the second one. Because usually he is an alter ego as the voice of Ed the Sock. Everybody knows. So you are the creator, the producer, and the voice, and so many other things. You are the lifeblood and spirit of this amazing character that stole the hearts of many Canadians in the... When did you start this program? That's a good question.
I'm glad that you're evaluating your own questions as we go along. Shall I? Maybe I'll help you evaluate the questions. Maybe I'll give you an answer.
If you're going to keep track of my compliments, you're going to have it. Get more paper, okay?
All right. Ed the Sock started in 1987.
Right.
That was on a cable station that I ran, and then started on City TV in '94. And that it just kept going since then. Much Music in 1994 as well, and then Much Music caught on a little slower than City TV. I took a few years off in between while they were finding themselves, and then went back on in a big way in '99, and then had the biggest years, I guess, all the way through till I quit in 2007 or 8.
Right. So the focus of the show is entrepreneurship. And I think it's really, and people are asking me, so why are you having Stephen Curry's Ed the Sock on, and where's the connection?
Who are these people?
Who are
these people that are razzing you?
Okay, they're all my own individual personalities.
That's what I'm wondering. Right. What, do you sit and have conversations about who you're going to have on, and they start razzing you?
You know I'm mildly schizophrenic, so I was talking to my
You've improved. It's only mild now.
So I was talking to my 7 other personalities,
right.
And they said, well, what's the connection here between entrepreneurship and and a TV show, and what people really have to understand
I don't even understand that question. What's the connection?
And what people have to understand is, in Canada, is that you really do have to do it yourself. If you really do, if you really do want to launch something innovative. So let's talk about that if we can.
Sure.
The idea of how you have achieved your success through the entrepreneurial spirit, if you don't mind.
Well, let's see. I'll go back. I mean, I started Ed the Sock. Basically, it was just something that was fun.
Right.
And since I ran the station, I could do what I wanted and put on what I wanted. But I mean, I responded to what it got response. It got response, and I realized this is something that could be bigger. And so I started marketing it around. Started sending VHS tapes to various TV stations, trying to get some attention, trying to come up with gimmicks to make sure that they opened up the actual envelope that they got, and watched the tape, making contacts wherever I could. And I mean, a lot of entrepreneurship in the earlier days was just trying to get my submissions differentiated from all the others that they got, and trying to think of creative ways to create an interest where TV stations got tons of submissions. Why are they going to look at mine and take it seriously? So I had to constantly come up with different ways to do that.
So when did you come up with the concept? Do you remember where you were?
Yeah, I was at my cable station in North York. And I mean, the character had sort of
I don't
existed.
mean to test your memory, and I know you're getting a little bit up in age here, but do you remember the exact time? Come on, you can do it. Was it? I think you said it was like 2 minutes after midnight. You're there with.
Nobody has that kind of memory. No one, because you know what? When
I
something happens,
have an encyclopedic
when
memory.
something happens,
I heard
you don't know that it's something that might be historic at the time. You don't think to keep track of it.
I heard your memory is encyclopedic and not unlike an idiot savant. And I hate to use the word idiot in the sentence because that's not a drug. I'm not taking any shots. But
very politically correct, idiot savant. It's very modern.
But you were always known for your memory. You don't remember the time. But you're at Newton Cable.
Yeah.
And you were, you were the program director there when you were 17, 18 years old.
18, yeah.
18 years old. So how do you get a gig like that at 18?
Well, you start volunteering at 14 and find a small enough station that at the time it was the smallest station in Toronto.
And maybe even Canada.
No, there's probably smaller ones out in Atlantic Canada, and so on. But it had less than 13,000 subscribers, and so you're funded based on a percentage of revenue from your subscriber. You've got a small subscriber base, you got no money. And the people who were running the place, one of them was an interesting character. You could do an entire series about him.
Okay, so when you say interesting character, now you've taken the politically correct bar and you've raised it up a notch.
No, it's not politically correct. I simply have no way to describe this guy.
Well, I mean, okay.
He would leave, the front office would close at 5 o'clock. That's when the owners left. He would leave at 5:10, and the station opened at 3 because we relied on volunteers, so they had to come in after work and after school. And so he would take off. He used to have a magazine that he would go through that had singles listings, and the raunchiest, most disgusting singles listings he would look up, and he would go and make rendezvous.
So he bolted out of there to try to get a date.
Yeah, date is a nice way to put it. And he'd come in the next day looking like hell. So he had really not a lot of interest.
We got to track this guy down, man. We got to track him down.
Best not. And the guy who was second in charge was constantly going through the Toronto Sun looking for schemes to make money quickly, like carpet steam cleaning and things like that. So neither of them were particularly tuned into what was going on. I saw the opportunity here that the place was junky. The cameras were junky. The lights we used were the lights that road crews used to work at night, so they didn't give you the proper light. And I just thought, these people don't want to do the work. I do. So by making myself sort of indispensable, because I would start working on the individual shows, and I would try to bring something out of each of them. I would try to develop each of them in their own way. And they were constantly, Kersner, if you want to do it, go ahead. And in that way, I taught myself how to edit. In that way, you sort of make yourself indispensable. And the owners recognized this, and I was still in high school. I was the assistant program director while I was in high school, so I'd finish school and I'd go right there. And then when I graduated, they let this other gentleman go and asked me to take it over.
Awesome. And so at Newton Cable, so you now have autonomy. You have autonomy, and you have basically carte blanche, as the saying goes, right?
Yeah.
And so it's pretty exciting for an 18-year-old, right? You got a studio there. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And that's when you started to workshop, I guess that you would say the infancy or embryonic stages of Ed the Sock.
Right.
And there was a real kind of, would you say, a learning curve, because some of the first shows, were...
Everything's a learning curve.
Right. So tell me...
I'm still on one.
We're doing it right now. But tell me, when you started workshopping the show, did you have an idea that this concept, because you faced some resistance in the beginning,
of course,
but did you have, like everybody, did you have an idea, though, somewhere in your heart, that this idea could eventually ingratiate, could win the hearts of the fans?
Well, I must have, because I kept at it.
Yeah.
And I obviously...
Well, sometimes it's just therapy.
Yeah, wasn't that.
You had a good psychiatrist. You didn't need any therapy.
I'm Jewish. I don't really need a psychiatrist.
You are
I
your
just
own
expel. I don't submerge anything. There's nothing below the surface. When something bothers me, I just say it. As I've gotten older, I've said it in more diplomatic ways. I've learned better ways to approach it. But it was something I enjoyed doing, and I saw that people enjoyed it as well.
I want to let you know that we're one of the few talk shows that does have a psychiatrist waiting in the wings, and often we need her services after the show. Guests are so traumatized. I'm not sure why, but we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, we will.
So Ed the Sock is launched, and it's now on the verge of major success, of jumping from cable to broadcast television.
Yeah.
So, after all these years of toiling, or I should say fledgling is a better word.
No, still toiling. I don't know how to fledgle.
But but seriously, I want to know about the moment that, people, I think it was Insight and City TV, and it all converged together. And now you have the opportunity to take an idea that started off very grassroots, and now you have the opportunity to take it to mainstream television. It's a very exciting thing. What were you thinking at that moment?
There wasn't a moment, because one of those things is, it's in stages as it grows. You're hoping. When it was confirmed, I'm sure that I was happy.
Well, you're never happy. I've never known you to be happy.
Oh no, I'm a happy guy.
Oh, okay, okay.
But you see the challenge. You see the challenge ahead of you.
Okay.
You know that it's an opportunity, and you want to make the best of it with all the information that you've got. And you're going into a business where everyone around you is more familiar with the workings of that station than you
Right,
are.
right.
You got to start working with new people, and going from cable to broadcast, my concern was always that they were going to say, well, that's what you did there, we don't want it here. And there was some of that, but not a lot. And you do, when you're changing mediums, have to, you know, there's a maturing process or a development process that has to happen. Yes.
So I read in the newspaper that, you tell me if there's any veracity to this, that you can never trust the Toronto Star or the Toronto Sun. You know that. You've been misquoted, what, about a few thousand times. But tell me if
I generally trust the Toronto Star.
You trust the Toronto Star, not the Toronto Sun.
Yeah.
Well, tell me if there's any veracity to this, is that the show, the creativity and concept suffered epidemically when you went to mainstream television?
No.
No?
No, it didn't suffer at
It
all.
didn't suffer? The creativity? The creativity?
No. No, not at all.
Not at all?
No, no. It was, we were given pretty wide berth to do things. There was an interest, it was City TV, an interest in experimentation in those days and in redefining the medium. So no, it was. I mean, there were challenges.
What were the challenges?
The challenges were, it was one thing to have occasional celebrities and the rest of the time sort of local eccentrics on when you're on cable. There's only so many local eccentrics, and when you start bringing the people onto broadcast that were already on your show on cable, there's some of the spontaneity is lost, the surprise, and we had to move up to the next level, which is we needed to bring in people who were names that people recognized, which for City TV was a new thing at the time. They never at that time would pay to bring anybody in. We never paid appearance fees, but we paid to bring some. We paid the travel fees and so on.
And you had to somehow navigate the ginormous. I understand now he's trying to employ a little bit of humility, and now in the the twilight of his career, but Moses Neimer. What was your relationship like with him?
First of all, I would never actually say that Moses was in the twilight of his career, because he continually pulls new things out of the hat and makes a go of it, and he's brilliant at that. He's always steps ahead. My relationship with him was it was cordial. Initially, Moses, like many people, tries to test your mettle. Test how far they can push you and so on.
Famous for testing people.
And back in those days, especially when I was younger, it was like two rams going at it like this. But Moses, he wanted to know if you were really committed to what you're doing. You know, he's putting money in. He wants to know, are you really committed to this? Are you committed to the project? Are you committed to making, is it just something you're making a name for? Is this just a stepping stone? So he wants to know that you're committed. And in order to determine that, he would test you, and I guess I passed the test because I had one meeting with Moses, and then I didn't have a meeting with him again for 11 years. After that, I just kept doing my thing. I'd see Moses, and we would see each other, say hello, but there was no actual meeting. And then that meeting that was scheduled 11 years later never actually happened, because Moses actually left the company the day before that happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's. I think that I take nothing away from his inimitable genius. He's very innovative and very creative. But I think he's got some hearing issues. He just murmurs. He just whispers. He just whispers.
He whispers because he wants you to have to listen.
Then I figured out it's another way of him psychologically testing you. That's all he wants to do, is bring you a little bit closer. So it's a power game. It's a power game.
I wouldn't.
Now you don't want to. Now you don't want to. We're not slagging him. I'm just saying it's a very interesting way, actually, of bringing.
He's a close talker. All right. He does speak quietly.
He walks off, but he
carries a big stick.
And
he used it. But listen, after Moses left, there's no question that the channels seemed to drift, and then got sold, and then broken up, and are no longer anything like what they were. So you can't take away the importance of somebody like Moses, who, while some people found that he was rough, and he was, there was a purpose there, and the rest of us who worked there benefited from him being who he was.
Okay. So what's on the horizon for you before we get going here? Like, what is on the horizon for you? You've achieved great success. I mean, Ed the Sock in its prime was the highest rated late night talk show in the metropolitan area. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, even everywhere it played across the country, it was it beat Leno and Letterman.
Okay, so that being the case, is that you achieved success, you know, in that area. So where are you going now at this time?
I've been working in TV in different capacities.
Yeah.
I just finished a stint as a producer and head writer, lead writer, whatever, on George Stroumboulopoulos Tonight at CBC, which was a great experience. So I'm developing shows, TV shows, behind the scenes. Still working on ed materials. There's still stuff in development. There's still, you know, interest in discussions from networks and so on. But you never, in this business, until the first check cashes, you know, until it clears, you don't believe anything's a go. And doing, moving into corporate gigs as well, corporate, you know, speaking. I have a lot of stories about what it's like to be behind the scenes with Ed the Sock, with celebrities in people's homes. And
I just got it from our director that we have to get going here, but I got a very, very important, interesting question. Didn't you have a lawsuit with Conan O'Brien at one point in time? You did send them a demo tape, and I think it was a month or two later they show up with, like, what was it, Trumpet, the cigar-smoking dog or whatever?
I didn't have a lawsuit with them.
We'll just clear it up because there was a.
I was dealing with the senior talent person at Conan O'Brien.
Yeah.
Sent tapes. We had phone calls. They were interested in Ed. Then all of a sudden they weren't. And then a very short time later, their head writer creates this dog, which was very much in the spirit of Ed. A lot of points of similarity.
Yeah.
And of course, that pisses you off because Americans are basically with Canadians. What are they going to do? Sue us? You know, Americans just they just take stuff and go with it, and that's what he did. Now, what that dog puppet does and still does is like what I did years ago. Ed continued to evolve as a personality, and so they're not this. They don't do the same thing anymore.
Fair enough. But how does somebody protect? I talked to Harry Stinson and Jack Berkowitz last time about this. How does somebody protect, you know, a really an innovative idea?
It depends on the kind of idea. I mean, copyrights are always, and trademarks are always there to help.
Right.
But ultimately, there's the threshold of going to court. And in court, only the lawyers win. So you sometimes have to determine if it's worth the battle. And a lot of big companies that are going to rip you off, they don't even care. They've got big pockets. They've got lawyers on staff. And so you've got to determine, is what it's going to cost me for this lawsuit less than what I could make with this particular idea.
Right.
You've got to, and sometimes it's very hard to figure that out. But ultimately, it comes down to a question of, are you willing to go to court?
And and it's not worth it.
It wasn't worth it. There was a lot of reasons why it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
Americans always back the hometown boy.
Rich, what time are we at here? I'm just going to my director here. We're at 15? We're at 15? Oh, man, we got to wrap this up. I do want to say this, though, and I was trying to avoid this throughout the interview. But
well, why do it now?
But I feel...
I don't understand.
You don't understand my logic? Because I'm feeling a sense of... I'm about to compliment you. I'm feeling a sense of... maybe it's Jewish guilt. Maybe it's... I don't know. Gratitude. Gratitude. That's a better word. You did actually give me my start in television, and in some small measure are responsible for all the nonsense that I do. And I just wanted to... I do owe you a debt of gratitude because... You know, you ignited a great passion for me, and it's something that has grown and grown and grown and grown and grown. And so I wanted to say thank you for that. Thank you for dropping by the studio. Wish you continued success in all of your endeavors.
Thank you, Eden. Well, we shake hands there. That's nice. Next time I want to sit on those chairs back there. They're more comfortable.
Okay. There is Stephen Kersner, the creator, the producer, and the voice of Ed the Sock. We'll be right back right after this. This is Groundbreakers Edenwall. Back in a moment. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thank you.